Welcome back to the Green Line Gazette, episode 21. Today we're going to be breaking down the U.S.'s first group stage loss to Turkey, where they fell 3-2 in the 90+7 last night on an absolute heartbreaker. Remember, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube, and Substack. Follow us on Instagram at Green Line Gazette to keep up with my latest work. We're going to get right into it. Not too much to talk about today. U.S. played just one of 11 of their normal starting 11. That was, of course, just Weston McKennie in that lone defensive midfield role. We're going to get into some depth issues, some good and some bad. Today I'm in a good mood, so we're going to choose to start with the positive. I really want to say I was very, very impressed by Gio Reyna and Sebastian Berhalter. They really showed that I think they're viable second options now for the U.S. Before I was definitely a little skeptical on both of them. You can go back and watch some of those episodes. I wasn't always the highest on especially Reyna and, of course, Berhalter as well. But, hey, they proved me wrong. Reyna's been showing his class once again. Berhalter, 8.5 match rating, assist, a goal, and a yellow card, just making the absolute most of his appearance out there in his first World Cup start, which was great to see Reyna back out there as well. I thought they played really, really well, right? So there was a midfield triangle, I guess, inverted with McKennie on the bottom there, kind of filling in for that Tyler Adams role, I suppose. Still doing some box-to-box stuff, but really not going up the pitch as much as he normally does, which, explains why he wasn't the most productive or didn't look the most comfortable. It's not really where he normally plays. But their link-ups with Reyna and Berhalter and McKennie, I thought it was really, really well, right? And especially in the midfield where players are really prone to card problems or, injuries or what you have, right? It's nice to have a breath of fresh air and say, okay, right, if someone picks up a yellow and they're, they look like they're really in danger of getting that second one, or, for whatever reason, someone picks up a red card. We now have, Reyna and Berhalter as viable attacking midfielder options. And I think, God forbid, knock on wood, if it's Tyler Adams who picks up a card or an injury or whatever it is, you can now, I think, move McKennie into that spot. Again, he didn't look the most comfortable, but he was definitely serviceable, and I think definitely did a good enough job to the point where if Adams does need to come off, McKennie will be able to do that job. What I thought this game really highlighted, though, was just how much we need Tyler Adams in that true six role because of our back line, right? So our back line from left to right, was Trusty, who had that goal in the third minute. It was actually awesome to see, how excited the bench and everybody was for him to finally get that first World Cup goal. So, happy for Trusty, and then Miles Robinson, Mark McKenzie, and Joe Scally from left to right again. You'll notice that's different from our typical five in the back with three center backs and two wing backs. This is just more of a traditional four-back set. And I think we really were exposed when we don't play five at the back there, right? I think Turkey really, really ripped into us. For reference, depending how you want to quantify it, Turkey had anywhere from basically 5 to 7 of their normal starting 11 playing that game. So, I was still impressed that, honestly, the U.S. being, C like Zendejas was playing. So we can call him the C team, right? That they were basically able to hold their own against a definitely angry and having something to prove, saving their pride Turkey team. But that four at the back with no Tyler Adams, we look so weak defensively. I'm not super impressed by Trusty and Scally. I don't think they obviously possess the skills necessary like Trusty or Scally, that Robinson or Dest do. They can't really move up and down the pitch at the same level of efficiency and manner that our normal wingbacks can. So I'm a little nervous that, again, if there's card trouble, if they need to play, that either we're going to have to come out of that five in the back, which we really excel at, and move those three center backs around, or we're going to have to put them at the back, and it's really going to, I think, just kill the wide space in either the left or the right side. That does sound really harsh. They weren't awesome, but they weren't horrible at the same time. I think our problems really came from Miles Robinson and Mark McKenzie, which, if you've been listening, I'm not shocked about the Miles Robinson. We've been on him for FC Cincinnati. We know he's not very good. But Mark McKenzie was, a little frustrating to see, to be honest. He played really well in the friendlies, building up to the group stage right before the World Cup. And, he gets this first start, and him and Robinson paired at the back just looked really, really ugly. So, and, they also weren't giving Matt Turner any help. You can say what you want about him, right? Obviously let 3 goals in. I think all 3 weren't really his fault. They were all from point blank, thanks to that back line and kind of the midfield not tracking back at the same time. So really Robinson and McKenzie did not help out, all that much. And not to take blame off Turner, right? He looked really rough in, building out of the back there. A lot of the balls he would roll out or throw out to start transition, he would go right to McKennie, who was then immediately surrounded by 4 Turkish midfielders and forwards. So, like we've been saying, Turner kind of lacks that building out of the back aspect and confidence with the ball, and that really showed. But I don't think you can blame him for those 3 goals. I really think that responsibility falls on this weak, reserve back line that we put out there. So, excuse me. Again, impressive that we hung with a basically full Turkish squad, but I really don't want to see these 4 on the field at the same time for the rest of the tournament. I think you can put it in a more positive light that, if, let's say Richards or Ream get an injury or, Cards, whatever it is, that I think you could put a guy like Mark McKenzie or maybe a Trusty into that back 5, and I think they can really just use the other 4 as a crutch and get by and be serviceable. Right? They definitely struggled when it was all 4 of them and there was nobody to lean on. But I think if you take one of these guys and, put them with the rest of the starting back 4, that they'll be able to just kind of build off them, right? And play at a higher level. When you're playing with better players, of course, you kind of rise to that level sometimes. And I think that would happen if you took like a Trusty or McKenzie and you put them in with Dest and Robinson and Richards and Ream and Freeman and whatnot. And I think they'd probably be a little better. But definitely don't want to be seeing these 4 alone at the back again. Moving on to our forwards, not great either, to be quite honest. Tim Weah looked really lost out there, which is sad to see. I hope he can find that form from 2022 because he really was our guy. And, recently he just hasn't been playing very well. Pepe looked very weak on and off the ball. He was really getting bullied off the ball every time he had it into the box. His pitch awareness looked really, really low. He was not winning those 50-50s that he was winning against Australia. Aronson really didn't do too much either. I'm not too worried about them, though. You don't see us rotating our forwards all that much anyway. I don't know if a lot of these guys will appear outside of Pepe, to be honest. I think, like in the Australia game, if we need a forward just to go, wreak havoc on their back line, it's going to be a guy like Haji Wright. And I think that's exactly what, his purpose is. People are asking, where was Haji Wright? Why did he not get game time from Poch? Because I don't think that's what his role is. I think Poch started this front 3 as an attacking front three, to see what they can actually do in the opponent's box. And Haji Wright's more of a disruptive presence, an aerial threat, more physical. So I don't think it was a knock on Haji Wright for everybody saying that. But yeah, not super impressed by the front 3 either. I think the bright spot was really that midfield. Really shows how much we miss Tyler Adams, though, and I'm excited to see our true starting 11 again back against Bosnia in what should be a really, really good game, to be honest. As for the knockouts, they are kind of filling in now. Of course, we are confirmed against Bosnia and that lower left quadrant. Our, 8 teams of the quadrant right now, I believe Portugal will be facing Ghana. Spain, I think, will face Austria, but I believe depending on the result of Austria, Algeria, which I think is today or coming up soon, that could change to Algeria. Of course, then we play Bosnia. And then right now it's Egypt versus South Korea as that first place team from the Belgium-Egypt group, right? And I want to address some criticisms. I've seen people online really freaking out. They're like, this is really, set up as a cakewalk for the U.S. to get right into those quarterfinals and blah, blah, blah. That, all they need to do is get lucky in the quarterfinal, and all of a sudden they're in the semifinal, and it's been rigged for the host nation, and, whatever it is. And, I'm sitting here like they're really criticizing, like, especially the bottom half of our first four, which is right now South Korea and Egypt. They're like, Egypt probably wins, but why does the U.S. get to play Egypt? That has to be rigged. And I'm sitting here. Did somebody tell Egypt, like, remind me who's in Egypt's group again? Oh, it's Belgium. Right. The Belgium that's been the dark horse at every World Cup since South Africa in 2010. And all they've been able to do is draw two teams twice. But that's the U.S.'s fault, though, that we get to play Egypt because, of course, Belgium's new, right? It's not their golden generation from 2018. This is their new golden generation with Doku and whatever. Now it's the U.S.'s fault that, of course, another European giant is flailing on the world stage, that we somehow are responsible for Belgium being absolutely horrid. We'll see how their group will shake out. I know Egypt sits atop of it right now. Belgium's currently in third, right? And this is just embarrassing. You're in a group with Iran, Egypt, and New Zealand, and you're supposed to be one of the best European teams in the world. Not even in Europe, literally in the world. And you have 2 points off of 2 draws sitting in third place. And you get to play New Zealand, so you're lucky because you're probably going to beat New Zealand if I had to guess. But hey, if Egypt beats Iran, Belgium still finishes second, and then the U.S. avoids Belgium. But again, don't let anybody tell you that this is somehow rigged to be for the U.S. You can blame Belgium if you're really that upset because they have been horrid, right? And this is nothing new, right? This is European teams have been underperforming all tournament. I don't know why people are so surprised. And that's why I'm honestly not too upset with what our potential draw is going to be because, right, likely Portugal probably beats Ghana if I had to guess. But you never know. And then Spain will probably beat either Austria or Algeria. And then, of course, you're probably going to get, I want to say, it's going to be a really good game. So actually, I don't really know who I would pick there if both Spain and Portugal line up in the round of 16 and if the U.S. get to play them. But remember, this is a Portugal team that drew the Congo 0-0. 1-1. And this is a Spain team that drew Cabo Verde 0-0. So again, European teams underperforming. Somehow that's the U.S.'s fault into the groups, into the knockout stages. But whatever, I digress. There's no point in arguing with people online who really just are anti-U.S. soccer and don't want to hear it. So, if you see people out there just talking nonsense, like whatever, because it's absolutely ridiculous that people say because we get Egypt that it's rigged, right? You should go talk to Belgium, the golden generation, and tell them to, really get it together. Because, drawing Egypt and Iran and then getting to play New Zealand and yet still being third in your group is just absolutely embarrassing for a team that's, always held as the dark horse, literally for the past, 2010, 2014, 2018, 2022. They were always the dark horse, never been able to get it done, and they're really getting exposed right now. As for the rest of the confirmed matchups, we have, I believe, Morocco taking on the Netherlands, which will be very interesting. That'll be a very good game, in my opinion, because, of course, I think Morocco finished second in that group, so with Brazil over them, so it's going to be hard. Speaking of Brazil, they get to play Japan in the first round. That's already locked in. Brazil-Japan, that's going to be a really, really good game that I'm very excited for. I can't lie. Canada gets to play South Africa, which will be pretty cool. It was nice to see all host nations advance to the next round. Right now, Mexico gets to play the third place team of the Scotland group, which as of right now is Scotland, but they unfortunately have a 5% chance to make it to the knockouts because they scored one basically own goal against Haiti, have a goal differential of -3 and only 3 points right now, which is, really sad to see because we love the Scottish and all that. But they have a very long list of things that need to happen, and I can read them to you here, right? So how Scotland need to qualify. They need at least 4 of these things I am about to read to happen. I'm going to read you 6 things that need to happen. Only 4 of them need to happen. So in Group G, Iran need to lose to Egypt, which is very possible. Group H, Uruguay need to lose to Spain, again, which is very possible, except I'm pretty sure Spain's already topped that group. So I don't know how much incentive Spain is going to have to play their true starting lineup at the moment. So we'll see on that. We'll hesitate for now. Hold on, where did it go? Excuse me. Right, Senegal need to fail to beat Iraq, so either Senegal can draw or lose to Iraq, which, I guess is definitely possible. They haven't looked great recently. Austria need to beat Algeria by 2+ goals, which, again, that is possible, right? Algeria is not a great team. Austria looked very good against Argentina, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. The DR Congo need to fail to beat Uzbekistan. I don't know if that's going to happen, to be quite honest. Uzbekistan looked absolutely horrible against Portugal, and the Congo looked good against Portugal. So, you never know what can happen, but I don't think the DR Congo are going to fail to beat Uzbekistan, or at least draw them. And then lastly, Ghana need to beat Croatia by 3 goals. So probably not going to happen, unfortunately. I think statistics are giving Scotland basically a 5% chance right now to make it to the round of 32, which is, absolutely crushing. But, at the same time, if you literally score 1 basically own goal against Haiti all tournament, you probably don't deserve to be in the knockouts, which hurts me to say because I really like the Scots, but they just played, unfortunately. Again, it's a very hard group. Brazil and Morocco being in your group with Haiti as kind of the only layup stinks. Like, I get it, but it's looking very, very slim for them at this moment. As for the rest of the third place teams, it'll be easier to go through all of them, right? So, again, we have to remember a lot of groups have only played 2 matches, but as it stands, starting with Group L, Croatia is in third place. I would have to assume they'll probably win. I believe they play, they're playing Ghana tomorrow at 5 p.m. So, right, you never know. Ghana's been pretty good. We saw them against England. So, we'll see. Even if they fail to beat Ghana, I think Croatia probably will still go through as a third place team just because they have, if anything, I don't think they'll lose to Ghana, that they could draw. It'll still give them 4 points and probably a positive, or no, I guess it would be a negative goal differential, but it's definitely better than the DR Congo Group K, who sit on 1 point with a -1 goal differential. They are currently missing the round of 32. Algeria sits on 3 points in Group J with a -2 goal differential. They are currently in. And then Senegal, which is absolutely shocking, currently sits, of course, on 0 points at a -3 goal differential. They get to play Iraq today at 3 p.m. They really need to just absolutely smash Iraq if they want a chance, because they are currently not in. And a draw here, I think you still miss it, right? You'll be on 1 point with still a -3 goal differential. So they need a big win against Iraq today to get through. Norway, of course, being kind of a dark horse in that group, just playing absolutely well. Really sad in Group H. Cabo Verde currently missing the cut with 2 points on 2 draws with a 0 goal differential. You never know, right? I really, really want to see them go through. They play Saudi Arabia at 8 o'clock tonight. Never say never. If they can get, even a win, right, to put them on 5 points, I think that sees them through to the round of 32. And Saudi Arabia has been really bad, right? Saudi Arabia sitting on 1 point on -4 goal differentials. So you never know. Currently, Belgium are missing the round of 32 right now with 2 points on a 0 goal differential after the 2 really ugly draws. Again, we know how embarrassing they have been. If I had to guess, they're probably going to smash New Zealand, though. You never know, but I think they will. And then, of course, on 5 points with probably a positive goal differential, they'll see themselves through to the knockouts. Group F, you have Sweden sitting on 4 points with a 0 goal differential because, of course, they smashed Tunisia, but then got turned around and just obliterated by the Netherlands with those 5 goals. So, I mean, you never know. I think they should be safe. Again, 4 points, not the greatest spot to be in, but it is what it is. Group E, you have Ecuador on 4 points on a 0 goal differential. They should be fine. Paraguay is really in the danger zone, right? Having played all 3 games, they sit on 4 points, but with a -2 goal differential. They are currently in now, but it's really easy for them to get bumped out. Of course, Bosnia and Group B's locked in. Scotland, we already went through them. And then right now you have South Korea sitting on 3 points on a -1 goal differential. They are also very much in the danger zone, I would say, but we'll have to see as the games play out. But that's all I have for now. Quick episode today, not too much to be said about the U.S.'s reserves. Not pretty, not great, but we're going to move on. Bosnia up next, Wednesday, 8 p.m. I will do, of course, the same style. We'll do a preview, talk about Bosnia because they have been a pretty class side. And then, of course, hopefully a positive review come Thursday morning. But that's all for now. Thank you for listening to episode 21. Remember to find us and share us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Substack. Follow me on Instagram at Greenline Gazette. And I will see you for episode 22 shortly.